Well, it's still getting messier and messier in the It Ends With Us feud between co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
But they're saying she decided she wanted to take over and use the power of her fame and name and that of her husband, Ryan Reynolds, to bully Justin Baldoni into the fetal position.
Something huge is happening in Hollywood right now. And if you thought the drama between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni couldn't get any messier, think again. The shocking behind-the-scenes battle that's unfolding is exposing secrets that no one saw coming. And trust us, you're going to want to hear this. We're talking leaked footage, secret text messages, unexpected betrayals, and power moves so bold they could change everything we thought we knew about this situation. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, another bombshell drops. So grab your popcorn, because this story is only getting started.
I think the point of it is to show us that he was not some evil harasser. He was subjugated to her, and Ryan Reynolds, and clearly afraid of both of them.
All right, let's rewind a bit and break this down from the beginning. At first, everything seemed fine. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were working together on It Ends With Us based on the best-selling novel by Colleen Hoover. Justin was not only starring in the film, but also directing and producing it through his own studio, Wayfarer. Blake, on the other hand, was cast in the lead female role, and for a while, things looked great. They were collaborating, exchanging creative ideas, and even praising each other in interviews. But somewhere along the way, something shifted, and that shift turned into an all-out war. It all started when Blake began taking on a much bigger role behind the scenes. Initially, she was just supposed to act, but suddenly she wanted more control. She started making edits to the film, weighing in on key production decisions, and even pushing to be part of the editing team. Now, normally, that wouldn't be a big deal. Actors give input all the time, but here's where it gets interesting. There were already professional editors hired for the job, real industry experts with years of experience, and yet Blake insisted on being involved, making it crystal clear that she wanted her vision to dominate.
And one of the most significant allegations in Baldoni's lawsuit is that Lively sought to gain control over the editing process of the film. This is important.
Then came the real power move. Blake didn't just want creative input, she wanted control, and she knew exactly how to get it. She allegedly used her massive influence and superstar connections, aka her husband Ryan Reynolds and best friend Taylor Swift, to turn up the pressure on Justin and Sony Pictures. The message was loud and clear: give me this film or kiss the support of my fan base goodbye. And let's be real, when someone like Blake Lively, who has millions of devoted fans, threatens to pull her support, that's not something studios take lightly. But here's the twist: her plan didn't go the way she expected.
Now you have two sides here, right? So Baldoni says this was all an effort to hijack the film to get her way. Lively claims she was the victim of harassment in a hostile work environment.
At first, Justin tried to keep the peace. He didn't reject Blake outright. He simply told her she'd have to wait until they had a rough cut of the film before she could give feedback on edits. Seemed reasonable, right? Well, apparently, that was the wrong answer. Because the moment Justin said no, even in the most polite way possible, everything changed. Suddenly, he found himself locked out of his own film. Sony handed full control over to Blake, and before he knew it, the entire narrative had shifted.
The team has denied all of these allegations. They have responded to this filing, this lawsuit, saying,
What makes this even crazier is that up until that moment, Justin and Blake had seemingly been getting along just fine. They had spent nearly 2 years working side by side, joking around, collaborating, and making what was supposed to be a great film. There were no issues, at least none that anyone knew about. But then, after the break in filming, something flipped. Blake started making demands. Ryan Reynolds allegedly confronted Justin at their home. And Taylor Swift, who had been nothing more than a supportive friend up until then, suddenly became part of the equation, with Justin claiming she gave him a look that made him feel like he was the villain in his own movie.
There he is, creepy Baldoni, getting close to her, obviously making small chatter not in character so as not to make the scene, which didn't require dialogue, awkward.
And that's just the beginning. Because even after all that, Justin still tried to stay professional. He still worked with Blake in the editing room, still tried to keep things respectful, and even continued to praise her publicly. But behind the scenes, things were falling apart, and then came the lawsuit. Blake Lively officially filed a legal complaint against Justin Baldoni, accusing him of inappropriate behavior on set. And that's where things took a truly shocking turn. Because not only did Justin deny the claims, but his legal team fired back with something no one saw coming: unedited footage from the film. Footage that, according to them, completely contradicts Blake's accusations.
This is not a nice person, and Justin bent over backwards to accommodate her many, many demands, which included, according to him, taking over the film.
Now, let's talk about that footage, because what it shows is not what Blake claimed in her lawsuit. In the video, you can see Blake and Justin in character filming a romantic scene. They're laughing, talking, and even joking around between takes. At one point, Blake makes a comment about her nose, joking that it's too big and wondering if they should address it. And throughout the entire clip, Justin is calm, professional, and completely in character. There's no sign of discomfort, no inappropriate behavior, nothing that even remotely resembles the accusations made in the lawsuit. And here's where it gets even messier. Blake had claimed that Justin was being inappropriate during intimate scenes, going off script and making her uncomfortable. But according to Justin's legal team, that's simply not true. In fact, they say that Blake was the one directing many of those moments, even acting as an unofficial intimacy coordinator at times. She had clear ideas about how the scenes should be shot and was actively involved in shaping them. So if she really felt uncomfortable, why was she so hands-on in crafting those very moments?
Shutting down a woman's claims.
She is claiming that there was harassment. He's saying none of it is true, never happened, never did.
But the biggest twist, the lawsuit wasn't even the final blow. Because just when Justin thought things couldn't get any worse, Colleen Hoover, the very author who had chosen him for this project, turned against him. Colleen had been one of Justin's biggest supporters throughout the entire process. She had backed him, helped with the script, and even promoted the movie alongside him. But the moment Blake filed her lawsuit, Colleen flipped. She publicly sided with Blake, posting on Instagram that she supported her, leaving Justin completely blindsided.
Blake Lively's team says that in showing this video, they are blaming the victim here. They also say that they'd prefer litigating this in court rather than in the public sphere.
And that's when it all started to make sense. Was this all part of a bigger plan? Did Blake always intend to take over the film? Was Justin set up from the start, only to be pushed out the moment he refused to give Blake exactly what she wanted? It's a question that's left Hollywood buzzing, and the truth is, we may not have the full answer just yet. But one thing's for sure, this story is far from over.
That Justin won't be bullied by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So his lawyer told us that their recent court filings show how scared they are.
Because now Justin is fighting back. He's not just defending himself, he's suing. He's taking legal action against the New York Times for what he claims was a deliberate smear campaign against him. He's also launched a massive lawsuit against Blake and Ryan Reynolds, claiming they worked together to destroy his career. And as more footage, text messages, and behind-the-scenes details come to light, it's becoming clearer than ever that this isn't just a simple case of creative differences. This is a full-blown Hollywood war. And just when you thought things couldn't get any wilder, another layer of this tangled mess unravels. Because this isn't just about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni anymore. There's another major player in this Hollywood chess game, and her name is Taylor Swift.
But yeah, it's just getting super nasty, and it seems like he's not cowering to this attempted gag order.
Yeah, I don't really understand Blake Lively's point.
Now, Taylor and Blake have been close for years. Best friends, practically inseparable. Blake's kids' names have even been featured in Taylor's music. So when reports surfaced that Taylor was being used as a power move in Blake's legal battle, people were shocked. Was Taylor really involved, or was her name just being thrown around as leverage? And if she was involved, does that mean she was actively backing Blake in this takedown of Justin Baldoni?
This tool of a lawsuit or whatever to get it into the public atmosphere, and now you're not going to allow me the chance to respond in the same avenue?
Well, according to Justin's lawsuit, the answer is clear. He claims that during a private meeting at Blake and Ryan Reynolds' penthouse, Taylor was unexpectedly present. The topic? The infamous rooftop scene that Blake insisted on rewriting. Initially, Justin had hesitated to approve Blake's version, but that night, with Ryan and Taylor in the room, things took a turn. According to Justin, the energy shifted. Suddenly, he wasn't just dealing with Blake's demands. He was up against two of the most powerful celebrities in the world. And what's even more telling? After that meeting, Justin sent Blake a text praising her rewrite, but he made sure to include a key detail. I would have felt this way even without Ryan and Taylor. That one line says everything. It implies that he felt pressured, that their presence changed the dynamic, and that maybe, just maybe, Blake knew exactly what she was doing by bringing them into the conversation.
Now to the ongoing Hollywood drama everyone is talking about, the legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin.
And speaking of Ryan Reynolds, let's talk about his role in all of this. Because if you thought he was just a supportive husband standing in the background, think again. Ryan wasn't just backing Blake emotionally, he was actively involved in the filmmaking process. Reports have come out saying that he contributed to the script, tweaking lines, rewriting scenes, and giving input in a way that most actors' spouses never would. And that's fine, except for the fact that Justin was supposed to be the director. Imagine working on a project for years, dedicating your time and energy to it, only for someone who wasn't even officially part of the production to start making changes. And not just small tweaks, major adjustments to key scenes.
But this is such a interpretation of perspective, because I watched the footage, and I'm sure we all have, and it's very easy to argue.
But here's where it gets even messier. Because Ryan wasn't just making script changes, he was allegedly using his influence to push Justin out. And if you think that sounds far-fetched, consider this. Justin's legal team is now requesting that Marvel Studios and Disney preserve all documents related to the creation of the upcoming Deadpool movie. Why? Because they believe that Ryan mocked Justin through the character of Nicepool, a new addition to the Deadpool universe. Think about that for a second. If this is true, that means Ryan Reynolds didn't just support his wife's lawsuit. He used his own multi-million-dollar franchise to take shots at Justin on a global scale. That's next-level pettiness, and if the lawsuit moves forward, we might actually see receipts proving that this was an intentional move.
I think this was a very dicey move because I think this very much opens up interpretation to what Blake Lively is saying was uncomfortable, and the key word here, unwelcomed.
And if that wasn't enough, let's talk about another key figure in this ever-growing saga, Colleen Hoover. The very author who handpicked Justin for this project, who worked closely with him on the script, who was his ally from the very beginning, suddenly turned her back on him the moment Blake filed her lawsuit. Why? What changed? Did she truly believe Blake's claims, or was there something else going on behind the scenes? Because here's the thing, Colleen didn't just distance herself from Justin. She actively helped Blake re-edit the movie, cutting Justin out completely. And that raises a huge question. Did Blake and Colleen plan this all along? Was Justin always meant to be a stepping stone, someone to get the project off the ground before being pushed aside? Because if that's the case, then this whole situation is even more calculated than anyone realized.
She also provided a cease and desist letter, asking them to cease, quote, all unlawful conduct, namely what they alleged is the, quote, harassing and retaliatory media and online campaign against.
But let's not forget about the actual accusations that started this entire chain of events. Blake claimed that Justin crossed the line during intimate scenes, that he was unprofessional, that he made her uncomfortable. But then Justin's team released the unedited footage, and suddenly the narrative didn't add up, because in the footage, Blake isn't pulling away. She isn't expressing discomfort. In fact, she's actively directing the scene herself, making suggestions, guiding the moment. And if she was truly uncomfortable, why would she take on that role? It doesn't make sense. Even more damning, the fact that Blake allegedly refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator after the break in filming. Before the break, there were only 2 scripted kissing scenes, nothing out of the ordinary. But after the break, Blake came back with a list of new demands. And one of those demands was that she wouldn't meet with the professional whose job it was to ensure that all intimate scenes were handled properly. Why? If she had concerns, wouldn't it make sense to bring in an expert to address them? Instead, she pushed Justin out of the conversation entirely, taking control of the edits, rewriting history, and then using that rewritten version to justify her lawsuit.
Explained that when Lively had filed her complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, she provided a copy of that to the defendants, meaning defendants like Justin Baldoni.
And that brings us to one of the most unsettling parts of this entire situation, the way the legal battle has turned into a full-blown media war, because let's be real, nobody is playing fair here. Blake's team went straight to the New York Times with her claims before even filing the lawsuit, ensuring that public perception would be on her side before Justin had a chance to defend himself. And now, Justin's team is fighting back by releasing footage, text messages, anything they can to prove that the story being told isn't the full truth. And now, Blake is demanding a gag order, saying that Justin's lawyer is tainting the jury pool by speaking out. But wait, wasn't that exactly what Blake's team did first? They made sure the public was on her side before Justin even had a chance to respond. And now they're upset that he's doing the same.
They say Friedman may even be violating the New York rules of professional conduct for lawyers by doing all this. Quote, his conduct threatens to and will materially prejudice both the Lively case and the Wayfarer case by tainting the jury pool because his statements are deliberately aimed at undermining the character, credibility, and reputation of numerous relevant parties.
And the timing of all of this is just too perfect to ignore. Blake's lawsuit was filed right as the press tour for It Ends With Us was about to start. Convenient, huh? Instead of facing backlash over her marketing choices, because let's not forget she was being dragged online for focusing more on promoting her own brand than addressing the film's serious themes, she suddenly became the victim. And suddenly, instead of talking about her questionable comments in interviews, the media was talking about Justin Baldoni. And that right there is what Justin's team is arguing, that this entire lawsuit wasn't about justice. It was about shifting the focus, controlling the narrative, and making sure that Blake came out of this looking like the hero. So where does this leave us? Well, the legal battle is far from over. The trial is set for 2026, which means we have years of shocking revelations ahead of us. More footage could be released. More text messages could surface. And as tensions continue to rise, there's no telling how far either side will go to prove their case.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are seeking to dismiss Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against them.
But here's the real question. Who do you believe? Is Justin Baldoni truly the victim of a power play by Blake Lively and her Hollywood inner circle? Or is Blake telling the truth, standing up against inappropriate behavior on set? And what about Taylor Swift? Do you think she knew she was being used as an intimidation tactic? Or was she just caught in the middle of a battle she wanted nothing to do with? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over.